So obviously Daredevil Born Again season 2 ended like about a week ago. But we got the Punisher special presentation, One Last Kill. And so I'm here to talk about that. So I'm going to review it in this one. I am going to have a ranking of the 3 special presentations. And I'm going to have a ranking of all the Punisher projects. And then I'm toying around with the idea of ranking the 4 Punisher actors, like live action. I don't know if I'll do that one, but I'm thinking about maybe doing it. But a little bit of a backstory on this version of the Punisher. So I watched Daredevil for the first time in like 2023 or 2024. And like immediately I was just like, this is awesome. I love this show. It quickly became my favorite show. I think season 2 is very underrated. It's my second favorite season as of right now, or it might be third. That and Born Again season 2 are like teeter-tottering, but it is one of my favorite seasons of that show. And I think that Jon Bernthal's Punisher was just awesome. I think that Punisher is just a really good character as well, and Jon Bernthal's Punisher is just like the best version. And then once I finished Daredevil, I tried watching the Punisher show. I got like 3 episodes in, and then I was like, I don't know if this is for me. I'm just gonna stop. And then it took me a little bit of a while, but later that year, the first year I watched Daredevil, I was like, I want to give the Punisher another shot. So I gave it another shot, and I appreciated the first couple episodes more. The only reason I didn't like love them the first time around was because I thought they were a little bit slow, and I just didn't like appreciate like everything at the time because I was being stupid. But after I watched it, I was just like, that season was awesome. And then I watched the second one, and that one I was also a little bit hesitant on, just not because I loved this first season, because I did, but because I had heard nothing but like, oh, the second one's worse. And then I watched that, and I was just like, oh my gosh, this season I love so much more than the first one. And that, over time, quickly became one of my favorite shows, and it is my 4th favorite show right now, and I just love both seasons for different reasons. I think that Punisher Season 1 is just great, diving into, like, Frank's psychology a little bit, and kind of building on his, like, the stuff of connecting with his family and everything, and Micro, I think, is a really good character and everything, and then Season 2, I love that season. I love Frank in it. I think that Amy is probably one of my favorite side characters from the show. I just like her dynamic with Frank. I think that Madani is much better in that season. I think that Billy Russo is much better in that season. Curtis, I think Curtis has a tie in both seasons. Like there's things I like about him in season 1 more, and then there's things about him in season 2 that I like more. Season 2, I think towards the end he gets a little bit annoying. Just like, I get it, but at the same time, it gets annoying when he's, like, against Frank, and I was just like, eh. And I think I liked, Jigsaw more in the second one, and then, I don't like, Pilgrim, who's, like, the other bad guy, going after Amy, but, what are you gonna do? Every time I watch the show, I like the other stuff more, and then him, like, there's things about him that I start liking a bit more each time, and then there's just things I don't like at all. But it doesn't really take away from the season. Like, there are things I don't like about it, but I'm not going to take away from the season, unless it's like a glaring issue. Anyway, so that's kind of my backstory. And then obviously he was in Born Again season 1, which I love that season. I know people don't, but I do. And episode 9, which is the episode that like features him prominently. He was in episode 4 for a little bit, but episode 9 up until episode 4 of Born Again season 2 was my favorite TV episode of all time. So coming into this, over a year after he appeared last, and with the knowledge that he's going to be in Spider-Man Brand New Day later this year, I just wanted a fun Punisher thing, catch you up on Frank, and just have, like, Frank being awesome. And I love this special. One Last Kill was awesome. It had some really fun action. It had some pretty cool cameos. It had a nice story, and there were 2 things that I thought were nitpicks for me, and I think other people have some of the same nitpicks, but they don't take away from the special. It's just like, okay, I wish it was a little longer, obviously, because obviously I would like to see more of Punisher and Frank Castle, and it would have been cool if he got like a movie or an hour and a half long like special or something. But even though we didn't get that, I think that the 44 or so minutes that we did get was amazing. And then I would have liked to see him with the skull on a bit more. And the only reason that that isn't like a full-blown problem for me, where I think some other people it could be a problem for them, is Frank Castle is the Punisher and Punisher is Frank Castle. It's the same character. It's not like this different thing or anything. So it's like I can go without the skull. Obviously, it's cool seeing the skull. And like at the end of the special where he does end up getting the skull, it's like, you look awesome, dude. But at the same time, I can go without it. But so it opens up with Frank, and he's just kind of doing pull-ups and everything, and he's bleeding from the hands. He's taking pills, alcohol, he's puking and everything. He's like, his mind's like everywhere. Like he is not in a good headspace. He's having like some of his army buddies like flashing in his mind like they're there, but they're not. It's hallucinations and everything. And one of those is Curtis from the Netflix show. The way I take this is I feel like Curtis is probably dead, just because of like he's there in his hallucinations, and besides one other character, most of his hallucinations are people who are dead. So I think that Curtis died sometime in between Punisher season 2 and then this. I mean, he could have died before Born Again season 1, but I don't really know. But like I feel like Curtis is dead. But it was nice seeing the actor again. I did like the character in the Netflix show, and a Punisher project. I think that it's cool that he showed up, even if it's only a couple scenes. It was just nice having him back, and it's just like I really like seeing that because it's like connecting to the Netflix show, and I love that. And I feel like the Punisher show has become kind of like how some people will have like a TV show like King of Queens, like a sitcom, like The Office or something, that are like their comfort shows. I feel like the Punisher is kind of that for me. Just like thinking about it, it's just like, are there things here and there that I don't like? Sure. But like I could put it on and just like calm down, like sit down. I don't even have to pay attention to it every time like I would like to, but like I could just put it on and like I would like it. And so like each character, like even if I don't like them as much, like in season 1 I didn't really like Madani, and then in season 2 I think she gets a lot better. But like even then, like if she showed up in this, it would have been I would have liked to see her again, but she was not in this. Maybe if we keep getting Punisher projects, whether that be like another season or a movie or something, it would be cool for her to return. But you get a little bit of Frank just kind of like sitting there, and he starts saying this military rhyme, or like this Marine thing, and he's saying it, and like everyone in his head starts saying it, and as he's sitting there, he gets a knife and he like cuts an X into his chest, and I was just like, ooh, what are you doing there? But then you get Curtis talking to him a little bit, and Frank decides to lock up his weapons, and then he leaves his apartment. But I think right before then, you get a little scene with this military person who is now homeless, and he has this dog, and he's just kind of walking around. He's also saying a like song or a rhyme or something, and as he's sitting down, some guy and his friends come over and start like hitting him. The guy takes his hat and then takes his dog, and then he walks by the street and chucks the dog in front of a truck. And it's just like, what the heck? Like, this is just some guy on the street, and you already hate him more than, like, you probably hate some of the main MCU villains. Like, there are probably some of the villains in the movies that you hate this guy more, and he has barely any screen time. But then you get Frank going to this shop just to get a coffee, and while he's there, there's this little girl who is like working on something, and she kind of looks up at Frank and is like waving to him. And while this is happening, you get some exposition on the TV, and it's like this neighborhood has kind of gone down the drain since the Nucci crime family has been taken out, and the suspect is Frank Castle, the Punisher, still at large. No one knows where he is. And people will think this is a retcon. I don't think it is, because in Punisher Season 1, Episode 1, one of the first kills that you do see is Frank killing a Nucci family member. I don't know if they, like, say his name, like, Nucci, or if it was, like, later told, but that means that there was a Nucci person, and it just took a little while for Frank to kill the other Nuccis. But obviously they're involved in the killing of his family. But Frank gets his coffee, and then he goes and starts walking, and as he's walking, there's just a bunch of bad stuff happening in the streets. There's, like, people getting shot or run out, like, it's just crazy. There's, like, fires and everything, and it's just, like, jeez. But then he goes to the cemetery to visit his wife and kids' gravestones, and you get a scene that just proves that John Bernthal is, like, a phenomenal actor. He loves this character. He's the best person to play Punisher, and he understands him. Where he's just kind of like sitting there. He puts that key by the gravestones, and he's just kind of talking, like saying how he's sorry and everything, and he kind of gives up. He gets his gun and he puts it on his temple, and like he's gonna shoot himself. And then he just gets like memories of his family, and then his daughter shows up in his mind and kind of like stops him from doing it. And then you get a scene where she disappears, and he's like screaming and telling her to come back and everything. And it's just like, I missed seeing his character. And I hope that we get a lot more Punisher, because John Bernthal as this character is just phenomenal. But then you get him going back to his apartment, and Nucci shows up and starts talking to him. And this is where you get the flashbacks kind of showing Frank killing all the Nucci family that he did. And then you get a scene where he killed her like favorite son, and she's like, I didn't think he did any of this or anything, and he was innocent. And it kind of hints that he wasn't, but the way he dies, it's just like in that couple seconds, like just I don't know what it was, if it was like the smile on the actor's face or anything, but it's like Frank puts him on the ground and like stomps his head in, and I'm just like, that guy kind of deserves it, doesn't he? More so than the others, and they definitely deserve it. And I'm just like, yeah, I didn't like that guy. But then you get Nucci like kind of like telling Frank at like 6:47, I think it was, I will send a bunch of hitmen and everything at you in this building, and they will not stop until you're dead. And then she's like, I'm the Punisher now, and blah, blah, blah. It's a scene kind of like Frank is creating people like him, where in the hunt to get revenge for his family, he killed someone else's family. Which I think is interesting, but at the same time, it's like, they all deserved it. Like, they're all criminals. I kind of wish that Nucci had died in this, but they're kind of saving her to be another villain, like somewhere, whether that be another season or a movie or anything. So I'm fine with that, especially if that means more Punisher. But maybe we can get what happened in the comics, where she gets her legs and arms taken off by a polar bear, and then when she does end up dying, Punisher like kicks her into a flaming building. That would be cool. But then you get Frank going into his apartment, and you get a scene with the like big cameo of the 44 minutes, which is him hallucinating Karen, who obviously was in Daredevil, and now she's in this as a hallucination, and kind of talking to him. And it's obviously him talking, and it's kind of him using Karen as like a vessel to get him ready for what's coming next, almost. And it was a nice moment, and I do like the relationship that they built out in season 2 of Netflix, and then Daredevil, and then in his season 1, and then she was in an episode of season 2. But I know there are people out there who kind of want them to like be a romantic thing, and I don't really feel that. I mean, it wouldn't be the worst thing if it happened, but I feel like Karen and Matt should be a couple. And to that point, I want Karen and Matt to be a couple even more, just because like some of the people who want Karen and Frank to be a thing are kind of annoying. Anyway, But then you get the action, and that is basically the rest of the special presentation, and it is awesome. It's got so many levels too. It's like Raid. I haven't seen that movie, but what I've heard is like Raid is just like this guy stuck in a building trying to get out, and he's fighting all these people, and it's kind of like that. And then people also like were saying it's kind of like a video game, which is also kind of like that too, where he's going from level to level. He starts off in an apartment, and then he gets onto like the balconies outside the apartment. He ends up on a staircase, and then he gets to the roof, and then he finds his way to the ground, and then he's fighting on the streets, and then he fights in a like bodega store, the one from earlier. But it's just like there's so many levels, and then also he's just grabbing enemy guns. Like he gets a shotgun, and then he gets like an AK-47. I think it was an AK-47. But then he also gets a pistol, and he starts off with a knife, so he's just getting a bunch of different weapons too, and he's like reloading and everything. So it's kind of like a video game, and it's really cool. But the action is just super fun. And I saw someone like it was breaking it down, and he said that he went back and counted, and there's about 100 people that Frank kills throughout this whole thing. Now that does include flashbacks, and then that includes one guy who got thrown, and then Frank kind of just got out of the way and didn't like catch him, so like that kind of is a death. But 100 people, it's pretty cool. But it's just like almost it's just really good action for a solid like 15 or so minutes, and it was just like really, really fun. And there's some creative kills, and it's just fun seeing him blow all these people and everything. But then you get towards the end, and he's got the choice to either go after Manucci and take care of her, or go to this bodega store and help that little girl that was like waving to him earlier in the special. And he decides to go help the little girl. He goes there, he saves her dad, and then he goes in and takes out a bunch of people, saving the mom and the girl. And then there's this big guy comes in, and Frank ends up killing him with a pen. Basically just showing like, hey, guess what? John Wick can do it. Well, I can do it better because I'm better than John Wick. Yes, he's way better. But then he helps them, and they're like, thank you and everything. And this girl gives him like a little rose that she made. And the next couple minutes, he's kind of just like looking at it. He goes to his family's grave, and he puts that by his daughter's. And then as he's sitting there, he's just like talking and stuff, and he starts doing the 1 batch, 2 batch, penny and dime rhyme that obviously was like a famous thing about his version of the character. And I'm really happy they brought that back as well, just because I really like that rhyme. And then it's kind of like Punisher has decided that instead of what he has been for every single other season he's in, which is basically a Punisher that is only going after the people who kill his family, and then if like a bad guy here and there gets in his way, he'll take them out. But he has now decided that he will be a Punisher that is a hero. And obviously he's still going to be killing people, but he's a Punisher that is, instead of just being this revenge-driven monster, is now a hero that is going to take bad guys out to save people. And I think that was a really good way of doing this version of Punisher. A lot of people have a problem with this as well, that they think that it's kind of a rehash of what's already been happening to him, where it seems like every appearance he's like, I don't want to be the Punisher, but I'll do it. And I think they handle that really well, where it's like he doesn't want to be the Punisher, and he's basically just in this, at least until now, to get revenge for his family, and he's kind of just sick of it. And then in this, you got that for a little bit, and then he finally decides that he will, in fact, be the Punisher, and do it as a force of good instead of just a force of vengeance. And I really like how they do that, and I can't wait to see the Punisher next. But then the last little scene is you go back to that one guy who killed the veteran's dog and stole his hat, and he's about to attack another couple when Frank comes in and just hits him to the ground. And then you see this new Punisher get up with like this really cool looking skull, and he's got like a new haircut and like beard style. And like it looks really cool. It's obviously not what we're going to be seeing in Brand New Day, because the skull is muted a lot in Brand New Day, And from what I heard, that's because, like, in China and stuff, they don't want, like, skulls on their screens, so they had to mute it a lot so that they could get the Punisher in a movie, which, if that's what it takes, okay, at least you can still see it. But this suit is awesome. But then he is about to kill the guy, and the military dude's there, and he's like, that's my hat. And Frank gets him the hat and takes it back to him, and the military dude's like, that's not all he took from me. And Frank can just see in his eyes that this guy killed someone or something he loved, as in the dog. So Frank gets his hatchet and, like, chucks it at the guy. It gets lodged in his leg. I think it was a hatchet. It might have been a knife, but I think it was like a hatchet just from what it looked like. But then he walks over, he takes out his pistol and points at the guy's face, and he, like, looks over at the military guy, and the guy's like, yeah, do it. So, and then the last shot is Frank looking down and pulling the trigger. Obviously, the last thing that happens in the special is Punisher killing someone, so you don't have to worry about him not shooting anyone in Brand New Day or using rubber bullets or anything, because that's very much not what's going to be happening. But it was 44 minutes, so it's just as long as, like, a Netflix episode. So this is basically just, like, a long overdue season 2 episode 14. Or if you want to look at it as, like, a season 3 episode 1 as, like, a pilot, like a new pilot episode. Like, hey, would you guys be interested in this? Because if you are, like, we'll do more, maybe. But what it was, I loved it. Obviously, those two things I said, it could have been longer, and I would like to see the skull a little bit more, but that does not take away from the experience at all. It would have just made the experience even better. But for what it was, I absolutely loved it, and I'm happy it exists. I'm happy that there's more Punisher content. I'm happy he's going to be in Brand New Day, and I'm hoping that he is in more stuff, whether that be in Born Again Season 3, that would be really cool, or if he gets another project, or if he just keeps appearing as a side character or whatever. I don't know. All I know is like, even if it's a special presentation each year, and you get, like, hopefully they up it a little bit in, like, a 60-minute thing of Punisher each year, even, like, then I would like it. Like, if they release it after each Born Again season, they're just like, here's a little bit of Punisher for you. I would like that. It would be less than I would like, but at the same time, it would be like, I'll take what I can get at this point. And what I think makes this even better for me is that John Bernthal wrote it, and it's just like, he does love the character, and I don't think they really rehashed anything. I think that this version of the character up until now has always been, I want to get revenge for my family and then I'm done. And there's just, like, these things that keep pulling him in because he's just like, I have to help. And at the end of Punisher Season 2, did it seem like he was going to be full-on Punisher? Yes. So I can get being a little bit, like, sad that it's not like that in this. But by the end of this, it's like, okay, he's just going to be Punisher for the rest of it. And that's that. And I really like that. But as a bonus DLC episode 9 of Daredevil Born Again featuring the Punisher and a special guest appearance by Karen Page, I got what I wanted. I loved it, and I will continue to love this version of the character, and I think that this was just amazing. But obviously, tell me what you guys thought of it in the comments. And I will have a couple more videos for this. Obviously, I will break them down real quick. I will have a video that probably won't be super long. That will be my ranking of the 3 special presentations up until now. I will have a video of the Punisher projects, which is, like, the show, the 4 movies, and then the other, like, mini thing. And then I'm toying with the idea of doing the 4 Punishers ranked. I don't know if I'll do that yet, but I might. But that's kind of what I have planned for Punisher. And then we will see whatever is next. But until then, tell me what you thought about this presentation and what you thought about it, what you think of the show with John Bernthal as a whole, or this version of the character and everything. And yeah, I will see you in the next one.